Hello, everyone. Welcome to Humanity Chats. Today, we are kicking off Breast Cancer Awareness Month. We welcome our guest, Rosie Mankis, to join us today. I am your host, Margie March. It is good to see you. We get together on Thursdays and talk about everyday issues that impact humans. Thanks to our YouTube viewers, Facebook, podcast, everybody who joins us. Now, if you're here and you're watching, hey, you know what to do. Share this with your network. Let us know where you're watching from. Welcome, welcome to Humanity Chats. I must tell you that I do feel pretty special today. I woke up this morning and I saw a message from a little girl who wanted to be like me when she grew up. But guess what? She wanted to be like Beyonce, Alicia Keys, and Margie March combined. I was like, oh my goodness, what an honor that somebody wants to be like Beyonce, Alicia Keys, and Margie March. I mean, that's kind of cool. It's like, oh, I have arrived. Well, welcome to everybody who's here with us tonight. As always, this Humanity Chats. Rosie Mankis is going to be joining us soon. But before Rosie joins us, let me read a little bit about her. This woman is a fighter, I tell you. She's a two-time survivor of cancer. Well, she is a life coach and author. She's the author of Find Your Joy and Run With It. I read the book, and oh my goodness, it touched my heart. I tell you, the stories in there, you could read, you could feel her perseverance, you could feel her pain, you could feel her family's love. Okay, let me tell you about Rosie. I'm going on and on, right? The book is a heartwarming memoir about overcoming her second battle with cancer. Yes, her second battle. The transitioning of her mother into an assisted living facility right around the same time, and the unexpected loss of her brother, all within 1 year. 1 year, guys. Rosie's recovery from these major challenges inspired her to become a life coach in order to help people pull through paralyzing adversity. She is a resident of New Jersey, where she lives with her husband, and she is the mother to two grown sons. Wow, Rosie. I bet the audience cannot wait to meet you. And so we're going to go to that green room and bring Rosie out. Thank you so much for joining us. This is Humanity Chats with Margie, and we are about to meet Rosie Mankis. Hello, Rosie.
Hello. How are you, Margie?
I'm very well, thank you. How is the weather in New Jersey today?
It's actually a nice day, really nice day. I haven't gotten out much today just to let the dogs in and out, but it's pleasant.
That's good. That's good to know. I'm out in South Carolina. It's been a rainy day. It's been cloudy, and I'm looking forward to getting a ray of sunshine in the next few days.
Yeah. Yeah, I know. I was sorry to see summer end. I'm a summer person myself.
Yeah. Now, Rosie, you know what? I did read a little bit about you to our audience and listeners, and I have read your book. Oh my goodness, it did really tug at my heartstrings. You are indeed a strong woman. But before we get into the conversation, do you mind sharing three fun facts about you? Just something that you like to do or some experience that you've had to kick off the conversation.
Of course. So, number one is that I love Zumba. I love the music and I love dancing to it. And my friends and I did for a really long time Zumba together, and we just had a ball. So that's one thing. The second is that I love to cook, and the only thing is that I don't know how to cook for less than 20 people. So I always cook a lot of food, and a lot of people come to my house for food. And then the third is that I am a very big practical joker on my husband. And the first time I did it was many years ago. If you recall, many years ago, we didn't have keyless remotes for our cars. We had the keys. So when he got a keyless remote, he was so excited. And he went to open it, and I had the other one in my pocket, and I would go beep, beep, and lock it. And he's like, something's wrong with this thing. And then he'd go beep, beep, and I'd lock it. And that was my first real practical joke on him. And I've been doing, not often, but just when the moment is right, practical jokes on him.
That sounds like fun. That sounds like fun. And your family, you guys are, you're just there for each other, and that's good to see. Talking about Zumba, back in the day, I used to do Zumba too. I think was the guy's name Beto. I don't remember
Oh, yeah.
the guy who started. Yeah, and Zumba leke leke or something. I don't even remember the words of the song, but I used to do Zumba. And with your cooking, I guess it also has to do with your heritage. Now, whenever I'm in Jersey, now that we are connected, I'll probably look you up and come have some pasta or something at
Yes,
your house.
absolutely. I'll make a Sunday sauce, and we'll have a nice meal together. That'd be
Oh,
great.
that is amazing. That is amazing. Now, Rosie, we are curious about your journey. I mean, your book. I know you wanted to share your story, and that's why you wrote that book. But you were able to bring out those moments, from when you had the lung cancer to when you were diagnosed with the breast cancer to how you survived it, through your surgery, through your children, your son's college application. He aced that, by the way, that essay. Your friend, Marion. I mean, that whole story. Now, tell us, why did you write the book?
So I wrote it to be cathartic. Actually, it was kind of like a dare in a way. So in my job, my profession, I interface with producers and people of that sort. And this gentleman called me, and his name was Dan, and he was looking for me to make an introduction to somebody else in the industry. And I said, sure. And then before we hung up, he asked how I was doing. And I told him about this journey that I had just, had from September of 2015 to September 16. We're in that whole year. Like, I had the breast cancer, the double mastectomy, reconstructive surgery. And my family and I had to transition my mom into an assisted living facility due to the progression of her dementia. And she was so fearful and resistant. And she didn't want to leave Brooklyn, which is where she's lived her whole life, and moved to New Jersey to a place closer to us. And then, like, when things were just starting to settle down, my 58-year-old healthy brother died in a horrific accident. So I was, I was telling this gentleman, Dan, about this story of what had happened to me. And he said, I really think you should write a book. And I, truthfully, it was like kind of a dare. And I don't think he thought I would have done it, but I did it. And I, as I said, I thought it was just to be cathartic for me. But then after I wrote it, and it was kind of the foundation for it was my journaling when I was going through that really, really difficult time. And after I started to share it and it was published, and people that, of course, are strangers would, write to me or come up to me during a book signing and say, I took things that you talked about in the book and integrated them into my life to help me with my journey. And how that they basically thought that they were, they would sit down for, let's say, a half an hour and read a chapter or so, and then go off to do, like, clean their closet or something like that. And they ended up reading the whole thing. And I put in the book, at the end of some chapters, I put some life coaching lessons that I learned along the way. And when they gave me that kind of feedback, I was like, wow, I think that this is going to help people. And the things that help me, that they can integrate into their life. And that was really special for me, knowing that kind of feedback.
Wow. That's a special story. And yeah, you did pour your heart out in that book. And I believe that the book would be helpful to readers out there, whether they have been through a tough time, or if they're going through cancer, it's inspirational, and it's comforting as well. Now, the topic that you wanted to talk about today is recovering from life challenges. And where would you like to start? Would you want to start with your lung cancer journey or your breast cancer journey? How would you like to start that?
So, I mean, with the lung cancer was back in 2008. It was, I was fortunate. It was an incidental find or a divine intervention. It depends on how you look at it. I kind of look at it as a divine intervention. I had a scan on my abdomen for my lower left ovary, and it was a CAT scan, and it happened to catch, if you imagine, the lower right part of my right lung. There was a teeny nodule about the width of a pencil, and that CAT scan found that. And I've had, after that, I had a biopsy, and it was determined that they wanted to check and see, but be a laparoscopic surgery if it was cancer. It turned out to be a stage 1A lung cancer. Had we not found that back in 2008 via this, what they would say an incidental finding, I would not have been in the world much longer than maybe 2010. But in terms of the life journey, like with regard to the breast cancer. So when I was diagnosed with the breast cancer, it was also an early stage cancer. And that was one of the reasons that I became a life coach and wanted to do speaking, is because I felt that, if my higher power wanted me to stick around with two different cancers and find them in the early stages, that I would want to be able to give back and share my journey of, any sort of adversity that would help others in terms of whatever road they're on in that point in their life.
Well, that journey, sharing that journey of adversity. You see, I'm a writer myself, and I know that sharing stories is so important because you never know what somebody else is going through. And as you're telling me about this discovery of your lung cancer, it could have been missed, and God knows what would have happened if it hadn't been detected. But then you had the breast cancer, and then your friend Marion, who also passed from cancer. Tell us, how do you recover from something like that? That was your best friend. That was your son's best friend's mom. Tell us what happened.
She had died many years before any of this happened to me. She died in 2004. It was just a heartbreaking thing. She was only 44 years old at the time she died. She lost, we lost a wonderful person, but her young children lost their mother. And we were just all so broken over the whole thing. And she was very fortunate that her parents, and she had a very good support system of, very good friends and family that were there to help with her husband, with her children as they grew up. And they're wonderful adults now. And they're just amazing individuals, her children. My sons are still very close to her son.
Yeah. Wow. So, as you're talking about all this and transitioning your mother, who lived in Brooklyn and did not want to move, how did you handle that as well?
So the whole transition of my mom was very, very difficult because my mom had dementia. And she was, she's still, my mom is still with us. She's actually moved from assisted living into memory care now. And she's been at the facility for about 5.5 years. And we would get her to the point that she would say, yes, okay, I'll come and I'll try to live at the place, because she clearly couldn't be independent anymore. We knew that my mom couldn't be independent at the point where we started to go to her house and there was food rotting in her refrigerator, or she was eating cookies for dinner, or I had to go to a neurologist and have the neurologist take her license away for fear of her hurting herself or hurting others. But we knew the thing that was really the tipping point was we went to visit her, just on a regular visit, and she was face planted on her kitchen table. She was in charge of her meds at the time, and she had put a Lunesta and an oxycodone for her pain in the same vial. And we said, this just has to be, she needs to be taken care of by medical staff. She had other underlying health issues as well. So we made the transition, and the people that were the director of the assisted living facility, the nurse, and social worker, they said it was the most difficult transition that they had ever had with any resident. There was tremendous pushback. She did not want to stay. As soon as we would get her to the point of she was, saying that she would stay, she would forget she said it and said, no, I'm not staying. So it was, it's tricky with dementia. But I have to tell you that as hard as it was, we made the right decision. I went to see a lot of facilities, and I can say with assurance that I could put my head on my pillow at night and say that, my mom is in a better place where she is. And even when last year, she made the transition from the assisted living into memory care because she really couldn't keep up in the assisted. It's too big and too many moving parts and too many activities. It was the right place for her to be. We really were happy with the place we selected and the decision we made.
Listeners, viewers, some of you may have aging parents out there, and what Rosie is sharing with us is real life stuff. As our parents age, we have to figure out what to do, the decisions to make. And she has been through it. And even at the time that she was going through it, she was going through hardship in her life with her diagnosis with breast cancer. And so it's not easy out there. And I guess that brings me to you being a life coach, how to recover from life challenges. You have survived lung cancer, you have survived breast cancer, you have been through the death of your brother, and transitioning your dear mother all in a year. Tell us, give us the points on how you recover from such life challenges for the people that are listening.
So I'll tell you, Margie, when my brother Carl passed away, my friends didn't think I was coming back from that one. That was a third of the 3 things that happened. And I really, didn't know how to get out of bed and be me or pretend to be me. But deep down inside, I didn't want to be just a survivor. I wanted to figure out how to be a thriver. And it was, you don't do things, it's not big picture. You don't do I could just do this one thing or that one thing. It's a series of small things that I did to work towards becoming whole and, moving from adversity to emotional wellness. And it was a matter of just taking an introspective look at what I wanted. And, I know we talk a lot about gratitude. We all talk about gratitude. And I wear a bracelet. It's called the Blessings bracelet. It has 4 beads on it. And every day I acknowledge 4 blessings in my life. But back then, at that place of despair and despondency, I needed to define what happy was, because I wasn't happy at all. And I sat down one day with my journal and I said, okay, write 5 things that make you happy. And I looked at the blank page and I was like, okay, well, I'm not happy. So I said, okay, maybe take a step back and take a look at 5 things that could make me happy. And the list I came up with, which was so basic and so rudimentary, it was things that could make me happy back in that time, were so simple. It was sitting on the couch with my dog snuggled next to me, feeling their warmth, lighting 3 candles and watching them glimmer by turning lights off, taking a walk around the block, because at the time I was recovering from major surgery. So that was as far as I could go, watching a sunrise or a sunset, and even just taking sips of your morning beverage and really savoring the taste. And I was like, that was my list of things that could make me happy. So then I was like, how do I transition them to things that would make me happy? So what I did is I turned them into affirmations, and I would say them over and over through the day until I can make them be transitioned into things that I actually incorporated into my life. Another thing I did was I took a look at things that I gave up during that awful year. And one was that I stopped turning the radio on, because I couldn't fathom listening to music and connecting with the lyrics or singing to a song. But music is really, really important to me. And I probably needed it more then than ever before. And I started to think about how I can incorporate music back into my life. by starting with just songs that were from when I was in my teenage years, just songs that when life was simpler, and I incorporated them. And then I went on to do songs that just make you happy, like September by Earth, Wind and Fire. Like everybody gets up to dance to that one, right? So, and then I went for the ones where the lyrics spoke directly to me, like Let It Be by the Beatles or Drops of Jupiter by Train. But I think the biggest thing, that I did was, besides I found meditation, and I never knew that I would have such a connectivity and a deep effect in meditating. I think I'm up to like almost 14,000 minutes of meditating since I started the journey. But the real game changer was mindfulness and living my life in a mindful way. And once I trained myself to do that, to not be this busy brain that's all over the place, and to just bring myself back to where I am and where my feet are planted at the moment. And once I did that, there was this profound shift in my life, and I live my life, and that's what my journey was I wanted to move from that adversity to not just emotional wellness, but being able to find joy in every single day of my life. And that's what I try to strive for. And I think that's where I am, and what I like to share with people, that you can go through adversity. We all do at some point in our lives, but that you can find some kind of joy in everyday living.
Finding joy in everyday living. That is what Rosie Mankies is telling us today. She's telling us to try to move from adversity to wellness when we're going through tough times. Rosie just told us you can make a list of things that can make you happy, and it could be very simple things. If you're like me, it could be eating jollof rice, or maybe dancing to reggae music. Very simple things. It doesn't have to be elaborate. It doesn't have to be going on a $10,000 shopping spree or anything out of the ordinary. And she says, once you have that, turn that happy into affirmations. So if you've stopped doing it, then maybe you start doing it again. And so if you stop eating, maybe let's say it's ice cream, then since you're turning it into your affirmations, maybe you can start eating ice cream again. And Rosie, please stop me if I'm getting it wrong. I'm summarizing what you just said.
No, I agree. I think what you're saying, it's basically trying to figure out how do you get back to who you were, or who you want to be. And I made a commitment to myself that with the mindfulness, that the commitment was that I was not going to miss the beautiful gift of now. There's so many things that when we're in our space of like adversity or whatever, we're so busy trying to plot and plan the next thing that we need to do, or worry and obsess about the thing that we should have done, but we're not here in this moment. And in this moment, if you open yourself up to it, it'll come. Those little beautiful gifts, and it could start as small as, I share this with clients, go to a park, close your eyes, listen to the birds chirping, the crickets, the trees swaying, the crackle of leaves. Now open your eyes and look and see what you see that's in front of you, and allow yourself to do that. And then just open yourself up, and you'll see more and more of this stuff come as you allow yourself to open yourself up to mindfulness, to find the joys in everyday living.
Yes, mindfulness. Rosie said, incorporate music if you're able, meditate, be mindful. Sometimes we're always on the rush, on the go, trying to do this and do that and putting things on our agenda. But if we pause, if we stop and listen, you can hear the birds chirping. You can hear the ocean. You can see the sunrise if you wake up that early and look up in the sky and look at God's beautiful creation. And you can see that rainbow that appears after the rain, after the storm. Now, these are tough times in our world. People are sick. People have lost jobs. People have lost loved ones. There's so much adversity going on. And with what Rosie has been through in her life, she is telling us that with this positive attitude and trying to find our happy, we can recover from life challenges. Now, I told you about Rosie's book earlier. I cannot believe that we have 6 more minutes for our conversation to end. It's been going so fast. You can learn more about Rosie at www.rosiemankis.com. You can learn about her books. She is a speaker. You can find out about her and find out how you can contact her to learn more. You know, I have learned from you today, and pick up Rosie's book. It is titled "Find Your Joy and Run with It," and I guess that is in line with her telling us that we should find that happy. So find your joy. I know that sometimes things can be desperate. I know that sometimes things could look desolate, depending on where you are in life. But Rosie is telling us that we can find that joy and run with it. It may be hard to find the joy, Rosie, for somebody who, for example, they've lost their job, they cannot make their rent, they may be sick, don't have health insurance. How do you think that process of finding those things that make them happy would work if they're feeling that down?
Yeah, well, I have to say, because I've been in that space, and I'm not going to say that you find joy right away. I say that you work on processing it. Either if you feel like you need help, you seek out a therapist or a life coach. I say that it's important to journal your feelings. It's important to also rely on your people. If you have your people that you surround yourself with to help you. I also say one of the things that I said that was a lesson for me with breast cancer was that I made a mistake, and I'd like to share that I told people that I was having a bilateral mastectomy, a double mastectomy, and I had thought that the people that I shared would have kept my story to themselves, and there were some that didn't, and it ended up being something that others knew that I didn't want to know. So my point in saying that is, if you are going through adversity, you're struggling with difficult times, you're depressed or whatever, and you do confide in somebody, just to make sure that, you know, that whoever you shares with knows what you want that information, where that information to stay, you know, if you want them to stay with you, with them. But my thing is I don't necessarily think that it's ever going to be like a one thing fix. I think it's a combination of a series of small things that, when brought together, can help you move from, you know, where you are. And I agree totally. Everybody's feeling, you know, there's a lot of people that are suffering from a lot of different things, mental health issues with the pandemic and with losing jobs and stuff. So, but I think it's, you know, it's a process of things that you do over time that can help you to get to a better place, or at least to find something, you know, within your day that brings you joy. And I say that in the sense that, you know, I have this list of, I call them me time must do kind of things that I feel they're non-negotiable things. Like, so for me personally, the way I need to level set myself every day is I need to know when I wake up on a beginning of a week that I'll exercise 3 times a week, that I will practice gratitude, as I shared with my bracelet in the morning, at least say, you know, acknowledge 4 blessings in my life. I also practice the mindfulness. I like to do acts of kindness, because I think it's just beautiful to do, and everybody appreciate, but you get back tenfold when you do it. But not just kindness to others, kindness to myself. So every day I write down, today I will be kind to myself by doing blank. And then I fill in blank, and then I do that thing that would bring me joy, you know, in that moment. And the mindfulness. So those are just a couple of the things that help me to stay grounded in my space, to try to find that special space of finding some sort of joy in that day.
Well, listeners, viewers, Rosie just shared what helps her stay grounded, and her strategy can work for you. regardless of if you're a teenager, you're a young adult, you're in your 30s, 40s, 20s, 50s, 60s. And so come back, replay this, subscribe to the Humanity Chats with Margie podcast, which is available on all major podcasts. Listen to the episodes, come back to Rosie's. Share it with your network because I think this conversation is so down to earth. She's keeping it simple. She's keeping it real. We are so grateful to the Margie TV team for the support. Thanks to our sponsors, Innovation Abound. Thank you, thank you. This has been Humanity Chats with Margie. We come to you on Thursdays. The opinions expressed in our conversations are the views of the participants. But as you can tell, Rosie was so down to earth. She told you about her own life's journey, her battle with cancer that she won. She has survived lung cancer. She has survived breast cancer. She has managed to transition her mother, who, although has dementia, is still alive. She was able to do that. Rosie lost her brother all in the same year. She had these three things happening to her mom, her brother, and her breast cancer diagnosis. And through that, she recovered from that challenge by finding her happy. And so, what she's telling us today is to find our happy. This has been Margie Marge. Don't forget to subscribe to the Humanity Chats podcast, like the Margie TV YouTube channel, come back, watch, and share Rosie's story with others. Go to www.rosiemackis.com and go learn about this amazing woman. Thank you all for joining us. To our viewers and our listeners, we say until next time. And next time is coming up shortly because we have two shows today. It's World Mental Health Day this coming Sunday, October 10th. And so we have somebody who is going to talk to us about mental health and multiple personality disorder. I never thought that we were going to be learning about this. I'm so grateful to all our past guests who keep recommending guests for the show. And we keep learning about different life journeys. And so Heidi is going to be joining us after our conversation with Rosie. She is coming on at 8 p.m. Eastern. Come back and join us. This is Margie and Rosie saying good night.
Good night. Thank you, Margie.